On this Junior's Gasoline Alley, we're going to add a little more luxury to my ST1 package 2017 Focus ST. How we're going to do that is by adding some leather seats. So we're going to take some leather seats out of a higher optioned Focus SE, swap those leather seats into the ST. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm on my way to the junkyard to pick up a set of leather seats that I found on carpart.com. So car-part.com. I find them pretty easy to find stuff with. But this is a set of leather seats out of a 2016 Focus SE. And what's nice is everything but the passenger seat should be a direct swap. So I'm going to go ahead and get these seats, and let's check them out in just a few seconds. Now I should explain that a Focus ST uses a different occupancy sensor on the passenger seat than the standard Focus models. So that means on 2015 to 2018 cars, you can't just directly swap from an SE to an ST. Now the great thing is the factory ST cloth seats have the same underpinnings beneath as the sport level seats in an SE with leather package or in a Focus titanium. So what you can do is you can swap the upholstery off of the leather seats of a titanium directly onto the seats of an ST to get this swap to happen. All right, I just got the seats back from the junkyard, and you can see aside from them being really dirty, they're in good shape. One of the things I was trying to search for was a car that had either been rear-ended or crashed into something that it looked like all the glass was intact, so that way they wouldn't get, moldy or wet or that sort of thing. So when I saw this and it was that way, immediately went for them. Now, the driver's side should swap right in, and you can see it's got power for both adjustment front and rear, the back, and then the bolster. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the stock seat or if I'm just going to move the leather over, but we'll see that in a little bit. Now, one of the things that I really like, headrest, is ratcheting. So it's got a few different positions, ratchets just like that, and that wasn't the case on the stock seats. Passenger seat looks good, same deal here. In here you've got, a little bit dirty, but nothing that can't be cleaned up. This is the seat back for the rear seat. What's really neat is it's actually got this fold down center armrest. That is not something that's, at least on my ST1, don't know if it's on the ST2s or ST3s, but it's kind of a nice thing. And then the other back seats. Now, one niggle, unfortunately, this was actually where they put the broken headlight from the crashed car, and it looks like it scuffed up the seat. We'll see how bad that is once everything's cleaned up and installed, and if it really bothers me, can just replace that. Now, what I do have to do is start with the passenger seat here. Passenger seat, because the pressure sensor is different on it, I've got to transfer over the leather onto my stock seat, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And basically, next thing you're going to see is me figuring out how to take the material off of the passenger seat. When taking the upholstery off, it's going to be a good idea to have a bunch of flat blade screwdrivers and things like that, because there's a whole ton of clips that you're going to have to diligently take off. Now, as you're going through, the upholstery is a pain in the rump to get off, but just make sure you feel around, get all the different little clips that you need. You'll see here that we have the hog ring clips. These are going to get cut. I'll show you how to replace them later on. But as you go through, just keep pulling the seat back off. Now with the seat back off, you need to get to the seat lower. In this case, I started to take the material off. In retrospect, I ended up learning that you could actually just take the whole cushion off, and I wouldn't have had to take the upholstery off. But through it, here we go. Inside of here, keep in mind you've got different clips, from small plastic clips to Velcro to those hog ring pliers. So take your time to feel around and make sure you get every clip undone. So while I've got the seat apart, figure it might be cool to look at. The thing that would have needed to be changed is this piece right here. So you see it's actually a fluid-filled piece. That's what is actually the pressure sensor. It's kind of neat because it goes through a fluid tube to this sensor right there, and that must be what reads how much weight is actually in the seat. So that piece doesn't cross over. Now, the rest of it does. You can cross over. I believe the airbag works itself, from what I understand. But then again, you know, it's always good to try to reuse as much as you can. With the upholstery removed from the seats, it's time to get after it with cleaning up. So just got some Armor All cleaning wipes, and then I've got some Armor All to go on it. This is just stuff I had sitting around, but now we just got to clean this stuff up. So we'll go ahead and start with the rear seats. That should be the easiest part to start with. And to take these off, you're going to have a set of Torx bolts, and that's the parts for where the seat would fold up, just like that. So you've got Torx bolts right there. Those will come off, and then the rear seat is going to have a few bolts, but it clips in. And this, from what I'm told, is actually a little bit of a pain to take care of, but we'll get to that in just a second. And out those ones go. So the seat itself should just pop right out. Now we'll go further in. And then pop this guy out as well. And out that comes. That's going to go with the old seat. So there's another Torx to go after. So there's another one in the center. With your impact, you can just barely get to it. And out that one will come too. Save the bolt. Now the center should come free. So I've successfully got the passenger side seat out. Basically, there's a latch mechanism right in there that you have to push forward to be able to get the latch to come up. So let me see if I can show you how to do that on the other side here, because that was a little bit tricky, but it wasn't nearly as bad as what the people at the junkyard were telling me it was going to be. So basically, you see that piece right there? That's what we need to move. That's what we need to push away. So basically, if you take a screwdriver, flat blade just like that. This is really hard to do just with one hand. So if you get that screwdriver in here, let's see if I can get it started with a smaller one. You're trying to get that to move over. But if you snap it pretty hard there, it's gonna let it come straight up, and out you go. So now with the rear seats out, it's as good a time as any to go ahead and both vacuum up all the junk that's down here, but I also plan on putting a little bit of sound deadening just back here to help quiet it down. I mean, with everything up, you can pull the carpet up, and there'll be plenty of room to add just a touch more luxury with a nice quiet interior. So with the carpet rolled up here, it's going to reveal quite a bit of just open metal. And all this resonation is going to lead to some road noise. So what I'm going to do is I've got some Pro Force aluminum waterproof repair tape. And what this is basically asphalt-backed sealing tape. But what's interesting is this is actually similar material to what things like Hush Mat or things like that actually use. So what we can do, lay some strips of this in here. It'll just tape right down, and that'll allow us to have kind of the opportunity to take out some extra vibrations. So in here, just tap around like that. Definitely requires something, so go ahead and take basically a knife. We'll cut through this material, and then the back side of the material is going to have a little layer here that you're going to pull off. And now this will be self-adhesive, so if I stick that right there. At this point, it's worth noting that I don't actually know what I'm doing here. I've seen this done on a few different YouTube videos, figured for $16 a roll, wouldn't hurt to add some extra sound deadening to the Focus, since it's not actually the most quiet vehicle out there. So as we go through, if you want to do this to yours, great. If you don't, well, I don't blame you, because I'm not sure after installing this it made any difference at all. At this point, you can go ahead and start to reinstall the seats. The process of doing this is exactly in reverse of taking them out. So you're going to start with the seat backs, go ahead and slide the seat into that clip on the outermost side. I suggest doing the long bench first, since it's going to have the mechanical clip that we're going to have to screw in the center there. But once you get that done, you can then move on to the passenger side, pop that in, and then finally it's installing the seat lowers just as we would have before. So the process is pretty simple. It's just reversing in directions of how you did before, and that's all you need to do to get the seat back into the rear. With the rear seat installed and looking nice, next up is moving to the front. So before we mess with the front seats, they do have airbags in them, which means we need to go ahead and disconnect the battery and drain the power from the system. So go ahead and pop your hood. With the hood open, you just want to go ahead and pop the battery off. Just take off your positive terminal here, and that's what's going to allow you to take the power source away, so we can go ahead and start to drain the battery. So quite simply, to drain the battery, let's go ahead, try to turn it on. Of course, won't do anything. And then I'm going to turn the lights on, and we'll go ahead and let the car sit for about 15 minutes before we pull the seats. Now it's time to remove the passenger side. It's the same deal as before. Just go ahead and take our bolts out. Starting with the two up front. Grab one of the rear, and then we'll get the other. And out comes the rear. Point with the seats out, what we're going to do here is start to take the upholstery off of the factory ST seat. On the driver's side, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the upholstery off of the back, so that way I can get to the factory airbag. I figured it would be best to carry the airbag from the original seat to the new one. That way there's no chance of any concerns when repowering the seat back on. Now that means I'm also going to get to carry the power adjustable seats to the new seat on the car, which is great. Can't wait to have power. But keep in mind, when we then do the passenger seat, same exact process again, except for this time we're swapping
all of the upholstery, the top as well as the bottom on the seat. The reason for this is I didn't want to cross over the airbags as well as the occupancy sensor underneath the seat cushion, so it would just be easier to reupholster the seat. There's not too much to talk to you about as far as tricks are concerned. It's really just undoing and then redoing everything. Now we've come to where we have to do the hog clip. The hog clip does require these specific hog ring pliers and a set of hog ring clips. So as you can see here, when you squeeze it together, it's going to wrap around, and just underneath the ST logo is where those hog ring clips go into the seat. So you're going to wrap that around, clip, and then just keep doing the upholstery. It's very important to try to get it as tight as possible. Make sure that all the Velcro and plastic clips go where they should, and just keep redoing, and you'll eventually get it done.
Alright, so I went ahead and went through and got this all vacuumed up. What I can tell you is there's a couple of flat spots in here that could definitely use some of this this material. So we're going to go ahead and apply it on there. I would take the whole carpet up, but it just doesn't seem like it's worth it considering there's a whole bunch more to be done. Maybe if I ever do like a Euro center console conversion or something, I could do it then. But go ahead and get that installed in there. And then there's that one spot right underneath there, which I'm sure is contributing to some of the noise. And with those little bits installed, we can now put the seat right back in. Now that stuff is all together, so we've got a couple of bolts to put in. Start with these guys here. That started. And there you are. Now to get everything back going, we've just got to go ahead, put our positive terminal back on. You're going to hear the car kind of come back to life again. And now it's time to start the car. So we'll take a look at the dash just to be safe. I'm going to hit the power button from the passenger seat. And awesome. The airbag light went off, as you can see. There's no airbag light. Let's see if the power seats work. They do, which is going to reveal the ability to come to the front bolts there. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching the video on my upgrade to the leather seats. It was a ton of work, but in conclusion, I think it was totally worth it. I've had them in the car about a week, and I definitely feel like the car feels better. It's funny to say because you're not even changing the seat, you're changing the material that the seat's made out of. But the leather itself just makes the feel of the car be more upscale. It makes it feel better, and believe it or not, it makes the car feel more comfortable. And that's one of the things I was going for. Now, one of the reasons, aside from just being cheap, was I didn't like the way the ST3 seats felt. So this is a great compromise. Now, the only thing I really wish I had done was gotten the ST badge put in the center of the seat. And I got that quoted out. I actually took it to an upholstery shop not too far from my house, and they wanted $240 to do it. And I just felt like that was a little too much for what little that would add to the car, especially since I didn't know if I was absolutely going to love the seats. In retrospect, having them in the car now, I probably would have spent that extra money, but you can let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments. Now, I should say they've settled in. I like the fact I have the power seat, I have the adjustable lumbar. That's all really nice stuff. And while it was a ton of work and couple afternoons worth of getting everything together, I feel like it was totally worth it. Well, go ahead and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I'd love to know whether or not you would do this to your ST1, if you think it was worth the effort, or if I'm crazy to have done it. And while you're at it, be sure to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, as well as hit that thumbs up button. That way I know you enjoyed the video.